So, you've got AI agents, LLMs, RAGs. These buzzwords are flying around everywhere, right? But here's the thing. They are not the same. Not even close. They're actually three totally different levels of AI power. In this explainer, we're going to break it all down for you nice and simple. Let's get into it. Okay, so where do we even start with all this? Well, to really get it, we've got to go back to the beginning, the absolute foundation of modern AI. I'm talking about the engine that's powering pretty much everything you see today, the large language model. You probably know it as an LLM. Okay, Act 1, the brain. So picture this. Imagine an LLM is like this super brilliant student. I mean, this kid has read everything, every book, every website, the entire internet. But, and this is a big but, they can only answer questions from memory. Everything they know is locked into what they learned up to their final exam. So what's actually going on under the hood? Well, at its core, an LLM is just a really, really sophisticated prediction machine. It's been trained on a mind-boggling amount of text, and its entire job is to predict the next word in a sentence. It's not really thinking in the human sense. It's more like the world's best pattern matcher, just on a massive scale. And this makes it amazing for certain things, right? Creative writing, summarizing dense articles, even spitting out code. It's a superstar. But, and you knew there was a but coming, it has some major weaknesses. First, its knowledge is stuck in the past, totally frozen in time. And second, because it's always just predicting the next word, it can sometimes just make stuff up. We call that hallucinating, and it's a huge problem. So that brings us to Act 2, the brain with a library. That making stuff up problem? It's a big deal. So developers started thinking, what if we could help our brilliant student out? What if we gave them a library card to a library that's always up to date? Imagine if before they answered any question, they could run to the stacks and look up the latest fact-checked info. Well, that's exactly what RAG is all about. RAG stands for Retrieval-Augmented Generation. And the key thing to get here is that RAG isn't a new kind of brain or a new model. Nope, it's a system. An architecture. It's a clever way to connect that brilliant LLM brain to an external knowledge base, our library, so it always has fresh facts to work with. And how it works is actually pretty cool. When you ask a question, it doesn't just pass it to the LLM. No. The first thing it does is it goes and retrieves information. It searches that external library for the most relevant documents. Then, and only then, it takes those documents, bundles them up with your question, and tells the LLM, okay, smarty pants, answer this question, but you can only use the facts I just gave you. It keeps it on a very short leash. This whole retrieve then generate process, it's an absolute game changer, especially for any kind of business. Why? Well, for one, it basically slashes those pesky hallucinations. It also means the answers you get are always current. And maybe the most important part, it lets companies use this tech on their own private data. You can ask questions about your internal company docs without ever having to send that sensitive info out to some third-party model. That's huge. All right, so we have the brain, then we gave it a library. But what's next? What if we could give it hands? Welcome to Act 3, the brain with hands. This is where things get really interesting, because we're moving beyond an AI that just knows things to an AI that can actually do things. This is the real leap, from simply giving you information to actually taking action. So let's go back to our student. Imagine you don't just ask them for an outline for your project. Instead, you say, hey, I need you to do the research, write the whole report, turn it into a PowerPoint presentation, and then email the final version to my boss by 5 p.m. That is an AI agent. So what is an AI agent, technically? It's a system that uses an LLM as its reasoning core, its brain. But, and this is the critical part, it's also been given a set of tools. Think of it like a digital tool belt. It can browse the web, it can write and execute code, it can connect to other apps through APIs. It's designed from the ground up to be an autonomous worker. And these agents work in this constant loop. You give them a big goal, and they think, okay, how do I break this down? They create a plan. Then they take the first step, using one of their tools. Then they look at what happened. They observe the result, and they think, did that work? What's my next move? It's this cycle of plan, act, observe, replan, over and over again, all by itself, until the job is done. And this isn't science fiction, you guys. We're already seeing the first generation of these things in the wild. You've got agents like Devin AI, which is trying to be the world's first fully autonomous AI software engineer. Then you have frameworks like Crew AI that let you build a whole team of specialized agents that can work together. This is where it's all heading, a future where you just hand off entire complex projects to an AI team. Okay, so the brain with a library, and the brain with hands and tools. We've met the whole family. Now let's put them all on one chart so we can see exactly how they stack up against each other. When you look at it like this, you can really see the evolution, can't you? You start with the LLM, which is your core engine for thinking. Then you add RAG, which is the architecture that connects that thinking to real-world facts. And then you have the agent, which is the whole system that turns that thinking into real-world action. See? They're not competitors. They're building blocks. Each one adds a new layer of capability. Okay, so the big question is, which one of these should you actually use? And the most important takeaway here is that one isn't better than the other. It all comes down to the job you're trying to do. So let's make this super simple. Want to do some creative writing? Brainstorm ideas? You just need a core LLM. Easy. Need to get accurate, factual answers from your company's documents? That's a job for a RAG system 100%. And if you want to automate a whole workflow, something with multiple steps that needs to interact with different apps, that's when you bring in an AI agent. So there you have it. The brain, the library, and the worker. Look, this was more than just defining a few buzzwords. What you've just learned, LLM, RAG, and agent, these are the actual Lego blocks that every new AI application is being built with. Understanding the difference isn't just about sounding smart. It's about seeing the roadmap for where this is all going. This is the future, being built right now, piece by piece. The real question is, what are you going to build?